Welcome to Conversations with Big Rich. This is an interview-style podcast. These interviewed are all involved in the off-road industry. Being involved, like all of my guests are, is a lifestyle, not just a job. I talk to past, present, and future legends, as well as business owners, employees, media, and land use warriors. Men and women who have found their way into this exciting and addictive lifestyle we call off-road. We discuss their personal history, struggles, successes, and reboots. We dive into what drives them to stay active in off-road. We all hope to shed some light on how to find a path into this world that we live and love and call off-road.
Whether you're crawling the Red Rocks of Moab or hauling your toys to the trail, Maxxis has the tires you can trust for performance and durability. 4 wheels or 2. Maxxis tires are the choice of champions because they know that whether for work or play, for fun or competition, Maxxis tires deliver. Choose Maxxis. Tread victoriously.
Have you seen 4Low magazine yet? 4Low magazine is a high-quality, well-written, four-wheel drive-focused magazine for the enthusiast market. If you still love the idea of a printed magazine, something to save and read at any time, 4Low is the magazine for you. 4Low cannot be found in stores, but you can have it delivered to your home or place of business. Visit 4lowmagazine.com to order your subscription today. On this week's episode of Conversations with Big Rich is an Arizona guy who loves off-road, lives in the mining town of Bagdad, Arizona, and who happens to be the guy that makes our We Rock event in Bagdad work. That's Aaron Armstrong. Aaron, how you doing today?
Good. How about yourself, Big?
I am doing phenomenal. I just got parked up there, and which you saw, I guess, and yeah, I'm pretty much ready. As soon as Shelly shows up this week, we'll flies in, and we'll be heading that way.
Perfect. Well, we're ready for this year's We Rock competition, and I'm super stoked about it.
So let's talk about let's talk about your life, and that'll lead us into how you got into off-road. Where are you born and raised?
So I was born in Prescott, Arizona, and I lived in Prescott for a couple years of my life, but then my family, my dad got a job out in Southern California, and he moved us out to Laguna Niguel, California, where I grew up and went to school and found my love for off-road. So,
okay, you found it in California, in SoCal.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
How old were you when they moved out there?
So I was in the second grade when we moved out there, and I went to grade school through high school there, and always had a dotted line to Prescott, Arizona, because my grandparents had moved there in the 70s, and so we'd go out to Prescott, Arizona, and we'd for vacations and see family and stuff like that. And I always loved Arizona because I'm more of an outdoors kind of guy, and I always loved to be out in the hills and, exploring and, looking for, old ruins and, mines and stuff like that. So I always had a love for Arizona.
And so going to school there in Laguna Niguel, I'm not sure where exactly that is. I don't know I'm sure I've been through it. There's not much of Southern California I haven't driven through, at least. Where's that located?
So Laguna Niguel is located over the hill from Laguna Beach. We're about 7 miles away from Laguna Beach inland, and about, I want to say, 10 miles north of Dana Point.
Okay, that makes sense. And that's more of the rolling hills then?
Yeah, I mean, everything's used to be rolling hills.
Yeah, not anymore.
Now it's rolling houses,
Yeah.
but But yeah, when we moved there in I want to say it was 88 or 89 that we moved there. It was, it was the 70s houses and, kind of a beachy vibe. And, but they, that's where my parents wanted to go. So I obviously had to follow them when I was in second grade. So, um,
Were they chasing? Was your dad or mom chasing a job at that point?
yeah, my dad's been in road construction all his life. He started as an operating engineer and worked on the 5 freeway and the widening project down by San Juan Capistrano. He actually built or helped build the 241 and the 133 that we know as the toll roads today that take you from Riverside over to the beach cities. So he's been involved in road construction his whole life, and is still his job's kind of changed a little bit. They started doing fire cleanup for the state of California, and so he's been doing that. And we all know that. I mean, that's a pretty plentiful job nowadays.
Yeah, job security there.
Yeah, yeah.
So then, what was it like? I mean, you were pretty young. Like you were like 7 or so when you went, maybe 8 when you moved to SoCal. What was it like
Yep.
uprooting? And do you remember?
I was really broken apart because I had friends in Arizona and family in Arizona, and I didn't want to leave. Arizona guy at heart, but I quickly became accustomed to, everything in Southern California, and we'd like to go onto the beach and playing around and yeah, so it was fun for me growing up in Southern California. I learned how to skateboard, and I was always into BMX bike riding, and we'd find those little pieces of dirt and make jumps on them and stuff like that. So, I I always had that Arizona kind of heart, and trying to find dirt in California when everything's built up is is a little hard, but we managed to do it.
Right. And so, what kind of things did the family do together? Like when work wasn't a priority. Weekends or vacations.
So I can remember we would always vacation at Lake Powell and Lake Mead, and we'd always be going out and doing boat stuff. But then, when I was in third grade, I remember that we had met up with some friends, my mom and dad's long friends that they grew up in high school in Prescott with, and we went out to Glamis and got to ride quads and dirt bikes and stuff like that. And that was always one of my good times of the year, right around Thanksgiving. And we'd go out to Glamis because it was only 3.5 hours from us, 4 hours from us. So it was kind of the middle point of meeting up with my parents' friends.
All right, that's cool. And the going to school there, do you have any interest in were you a good student, or were you one of those that always looked out the window?
I've always been an ADHD kid, right?
Okay.
I can't stand still, and maybe that's why I'm so good at doing my job right now as a electrical supervisor for the mine. But yeah, I mean, I was I was a decent student. I was always really good at math and science, but like reading and doing essays and stuff like that, I really bit the dust on. I needed a lot of help in that. So, I guess it was half and half, I guess, a good student and bad student.
And so your favorite were more of the sciences and math?
Yes.
Okay. Did they have automotive programs?
So when I got to high school, that's the first thing I set out to look for was we had a automotive program, and they had a couple car lifts and some old cars kind of in the yard and stuff. And I really took a hold to the automotive program. I was vice president of the auto club in high school, and yeah, really kind of, that was kind of the only thing I was interested in high school, that and girls, but we'll talk about that later.
And we'll be careful there.
Yeah.
So, what was the first car that you were, I guess, legal to drive?
So my first vehicle was a 1987 Toyota 4Runner.
Oh, wow.
And since then, I've had 5 4Runners. My last one that I bought is a 5th gen, but I've had 3 first gens, a 2nd gen, and a 5th gen.
Wow. Okay. Toyota guy kind of through and through, huh?
Oh, yeah.
That's a shame. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So then you stuck with Toyotas. How long did you have that first one? That first gen?
I had that until I was 18 years old. And, my life kind of took a little bit of a turn when I was 18 years old. I was all, hormones, and, I didn't want to listen to anyone, and, normal, teenager stuff, I guess. And so, I kind of, kind of just did my own thing for a little bit, which, looking back, I try to tell my kids, hey, the grass isn't greener on the other side. But shortly after I turned 18, I rolled my first vehicle, right? So, it was a stupid mistake on my part. I shouldn't have been where I was, but, you live by your mistakes. At least I do.
Right. So was it pavement or dirt?
It was on dirt.
Okay. Do you want to expand on that or not?
Yeah, I mean, growing up in Southern California, me and my friends were always into the pre-runner scene, Ford Rangers with big old extended I-beams and coilovers and Devers and whatnot. So we, growing up in, pretty much pavement, we'd always try to find those, little off-road trails and any kind of dirt that we could get our wheels on. That's where we were. So we did a lot of, off-roading in Trabuco Canyon. There was a place called Holy Jim Canyon that we would, we just speed down that dirt road as fast as we could because we thought we were Robbie Gordon and Baja racers and stuff, being teenagers in high school. We always tore stuff up, So that was how we learned how to wrench on our own vehicles. And, we'd take our broken vehicles to auto shop, and we'd go to Pet Boys right down the street, and we'd buy little parts and, fix the stuff that we broke. And, we always, as a friend group, I still am friends with my high school buddies today. And, we're always constantly wrenching on stuff, constantly modifying, constantly wrenching on stuff. And I guess that kind of, makes sense in the off-road world.
Right. So did you total that one?
I did total it. However, I didn't think I totaled it because I had ended up smashing the cabin a little, pretty good. And we took a come along to it and put it on the car lift and come along the hood straight. I couldn't fit a windshield in there anymore, but who needs a windshield when you're, 18 years old? But apparently Southern California frowns on not having a windshield in your vehicle. So,
just you put your helmet on and goggles.
Yeah, it was one of those things, and that was late '90s, and we'd go, we'd go down to Mexico and watch the start of the Baja 1000 and stuff like that. And, I always wanted to be in the off-road world, and
Right.
that was a dream of mine ever since I could remember.
So when you were young, what kind of what did you work, and if you did, what kind of work did you do? Well, like going through high school.
So going through high school, I worked at the Aliso Viejo 21 Theaters, and I was a concession stand guy, and then moved to checking tickets and stuff like that, and then I got a job after going through auto shop for a couple months. I got a job at Big O Tires, and I was doing tires and looking at brakes and just doing inspections on the vehicles and whatnot. But I got really good and at doing tires, after working at Big O. So
I thought you were going to go down the road of, I got a job at a burger place, kind of like at Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
No, the food service industry, it was not my deal, so I I actually applied for In-N-Out one time, and I got denied because I had too much automotive experience working at Big O, and I soon started working at a place called, that was a full-service gas station. It was like the only one in Southern California, and they had like a little automotive shop section, and I did brakes and oil changes and little jobs that the owner felt comfortable with high school students doing that.
Right.
So
okay. And what were your aspirations when you were going to school, that what you thought your career would be, or what you wanted to be?
I wanted to be a welder. I struck my first arc with a welder in auto shop. We had a little Tombstone AC buzz box welder, and I struck my first arc and learned how to lay a bead down, and I was turned on, like mentally turned on with that, and I was like all about it, And so I probably did, in my junior year of high school, I probably did 15 exhaust jobs for my buddies. It was cutting off the exhaust right after the cat, and straight piping this and that, and putting glass packs on vehicles, and little trash can exhaust on my buddies' rice rockets and whatnot. And it was one of those things that I always liked doing. However, I wasn't too good at it at that time. I mean, the bigger the glob, the better the job, kind of thing.
Bigger the glob, better the job.
So, everything kind of worked, but there's exhaust leaks everywhere. And I mean, I was a junior in high school. I didn't know better, so we just kind of did what we could do.
Right. I take things that need to be melted together. I take it to professionals, because I cannot weld to save my life. Of course, I haven't spent much time doing it, but going through that process of trying to learn, it's, to me, it'd be like playing golf. It's just going to take too long to get to where I want to be, so it's just better to take it to somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
So you were welding. You wanted to be a welder, but that didn't happen?
Nope. I my parents thought I was a little too wild for my brothers. I have two brothers. Um, one was 5 years younger than me, and then my youngest brother is 10 years younger than me. And being full of hormones and being an ADHD kid, I was off the chain, and my parents couldn't really, I guess, control me anymore. So I actually moved back to Arizona and lived with my grandparents after high school, and went down the wrong path. Got wrapped up into drugs and alcohol, and quickly found myself, homeless and out of a job, and kind of hanging out with the wrong kids. And I found myself down in Phoenix, selling drugs, and quickly kind of did that for about a year. And I looked at myself one day in the mirror, and something in my head, I don't know if it was a guardian angel or God or what, but something in my head said, "This is not your life." And so I called my parents, and I ended up, making a deal with them that I would get clean and sober. And I moved back to Southern California. I was in Phoenix to go to UTI and work on vehicles, but I got wrapped up in the methamphetamine game, and that just wasn't the life for me.
Right.
So I moved back to Southern California, and lived out there for a while. And so, yeah.
So you moving to your grandparents just gave you a place temporarily for shelter, but they weren't able to help control you then.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. I understand. There's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of us that have gone through periods like that.
Yep.
So then you get back to California,
Mm-hmm.
and you make the deal with your parents. And
Mm-hmm.
how did all that work? What'd you do after that?
So after I moved back from Arizona back to Southern California, I had to sleep because I hadn't slept in a year. So
was that part of the deal with your parents? Okay, I need like a month to sleep.
Pretty much. So after I got clean and sober, I started hanging out with my friends again that I went to high school with, and they're a bunch of motorheads. And my buddy Eric, he had a 1967 Volkswagen Bug that was all California street bugged out. And we'd go to hot V-dub nights and stuff like that, and kind of got wrapped up into the car scene. But living with my parents, I needed to find a job, so I ended up getting a job at a place called Performance Motorsports in San Juan Capistrano, and it was a Honda, Suzuki, Bombardier dealership. And I was a parts guy at Performance Motorsports for about 5.5 years. And after I left Performance Motorsports, I went to Irvine, California, and I worked at Burt's Mega Mall. Or actually, I worked at Spectrum Motorsports in Irvine, California. And then I found myself in Covina, California, and I started working for Burt's Mega Mall after that. And so I was always kind of in the off-road industry, but it was two-wheel, motorcycles, and I rode street bikes, and I can chat. So being a parts sales guy was kind of in my realm of expertise, I guess, if you want to say.
Right.
So I did that for quite a while, and yeah. So.
And so 5.5 years at performance, but how long did you spend in that the power sports market?
In the power sports industry, I spent about 7 years in the power sports industry until um, I met a girl at the shop, and we kind of hit it off, and she had mutual friends with me, and um, I pretty much worked in the power sports industry until I got the phone call that, hey, I'm pregnant. So um, after that, I had to find a career that I could actually raise a family to. So, you know, um, my my friend that was an electrician, he actually turned me on to a company that was hiring, and I started, because I always been kind of techie and kind of, good with my hands and stuff like that. And I'm like, you know what? Let me try this electrical thing out. And so I started with, roping houses, doing, residential work, and quickly moved into commercial work. And, I ended up going to school to be an electrician. I went to a place called National Institute of Technology. It was in Long Beach, and it was a technical school, and I was able to get my tech certification, and graduated with honors out of the school. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm actually pretty good at this. So that was in 2003 that I graduated. And in 2004, I had my first son. And I've been an electrician ever since.
And this girl's name that you have your first son with?
Her name is Amanda, and she's my wife, and we've
She's
been
pretty
together
awesome.
ever since. She is fantastic. I couldn't.
I think you outkicked your coverage.
Probably. I classed up on that one for sure.
Yeah, you did. Oh God. So you graduated with your electrical certificates and degree or whatever they give you, and
mm-hmm.
what was it like union, or was what kind of electrical work were you doing?
So I worked for actually one of my ex-girlfriend's dads
Okay.
for a little while, and he had a private company, and he did a lot of really high-end houses in Newport Beach and all over Southern California, where we were doing computer-controlled panels, and this is back in early 2000s, So we were kind of like the cutting edge guys when it came to installations and kind of bridging the gap between technology and what could be in your house. So
Nice.
So yeah, we did a lot of houses out there, and we actually did a house in Newport Beach, and it was the owner of what's called Chefs USA, and they created the Hot Pocket. So we called it the Hot Pocket House, and that house was amazing. It was just purely amazing. So we did that, and when Amanda was pregnant, we were kind of struggling in Southern California. Being an electrician, I made great money, and I had still, couldn't afford rent for a house. And I did not want to raise my kid in an apartment complex with like a little landing outside, of the apartment, little balcony or whatever.
Right.
For him to get outside and play, because I grew up outside all the time, and I wanted the same for my kid. And so it just happened to be that my wife, or my girlfriend at the time, fiance, she grew up she was born in Paradise Valley down in Phoenix.
Okay.
And so, I seemed to happen to find a Arizona girl in Southern California. And, one night we were talking and she was pregnant, and I'm like, you know what? I think we should move back home when we have, my son's name is Gavin, when we have Gavin. And she looked at me and she said, I think that's a great idea. So we moved back to Arizona.
Okay. Question I have is, how did Amanda end up in California if she was an Arizona girl? Same thing, her parents moved out there?
Yep, her dad worked for Cox Communications,
Okay.
and he moved out to Southern California because that's kind of what their dream was. Living in Arizona, they'd always take trips to the beach and stuff, and so she moved out when she was in middle school, and and then she grew up there all the way through high school. And when she went to college, I kind of ruined that college career for her, for a little bit of time, but but we put her through school, and she ended up getting her bachelor's degree, and yeah, so
yeah. So how did you come up with the name Gavin? Was it a family name on one side or the other?
No, I just thought it was a really freaking cool name, and not a lot of kids had that name that I knew of, and all my names that I wanted to name the boy was shot down, but I try to think of funky names for my kids and stuff, and
like Stretch.
Yeah, exactly. So we ended up coming to an agreement with Gavin, and it's been his name ever since he was born.
Right. Well, that's good. I'm glad you didn't change it.
Yeah.
And and he's on his own and in Southern California now. Is that correct?
Yep, he lives with my parents. Kind of the same thing. Well, not really the same thing that happened to me, but he came to us one day and said, "Hey, I talked to he calls her Mimi, my mom."
Okay.
And he's like, "Hey, I talked to Mimi, and I want to live out there for a little bit and see what Southern California is all about." And I'm like, "Why in the hell do you want to do that?"
Right.
So he's lived there since last October, and he likes it. He likes walking on the beach and going and working out and the whole 9 yards. So he's absolutely been a blessing for us, since he was born. Super mellow, smiley kid, always a really good kid. And one thing you can always want as a father is for your kids to be better than you, right?
Right.
And I think I hit the nail on the head with my two kids. So.
And your second son, his name is?
My second son's name is Cameron.
Okay.
And he's 18 years old as of yesterday, the 23rd of February. And he's a senior in high school, and he's going to be valedictorian of the high school here in Baghdad. So, yeah, and he's an amazing student. He's got Amanda's brain, my wife's brain, that's for sure. And
well, I saw pictures of it looked like maybe senior prom or something. I think he's got her looks too, which he's lucky.
Oh yeah. Yep.
That's awesome. So then you guys moved back to Arizona, and
Yep.
Where did you move to in Arizona?
So I moved to Prescott, Arizona, and we call him Prescott.
Prescott
locals.
that's the local pronunciation. Yeah.
So we moved back to Prescott, and because that's my hometown, and always loved Prescott. It's not too hot, not too cold. It's pretty much perfect weather all the time. And I lived there for a little bit. This was 2006 when we moved to Prescott, and I worked in Prescott as an electrician for a little bit, and my aunt, she worked for Phelps Dodge corporate headquarters, and she said that, hey, there's a mine called Bagdad. It's about an hour and a half away from Prescott, and they're hiring electricians. You should apply. So I quickly got on the interwebs and applied for an electrician position, and I got hired October 2nd, 2006, and I've been gainfully employed here in Baghdad, working for the mine since then. So.
And you've gone up through the ranks.
Yep. I started as an electrician, moved to diagnostic electrician, and then my superintendent at the time, he really liked the way I communicated and the way I could, uh, have people follow me in different jobs and stuff like that. So they asked me after a couple of years of being here in Baghdad if I would like to be a supervisor, and I said sure, I'll give it a try. And so I took that job in 2008, and I've been doing it ever since.
Nice. And what was it like for the family? Well, I would imagine like Amanda, okay, going to Baghdad, because Baghdad, for people that have never been to Baghdad, I always make the joke, all roads lead to Baghdad, Arizona. There is one road, paved road to Baghdad, Arizona. It's probably one of the second largest cul-de-sac. I don't know what Maurici's like.
Yeah, we like to call it, the biggest cul-de-sac on the northwestern part of Arizona.
There you go.
So, moving to Baghdad, I actually moved out here first until I could get a house. Baghdad's a company-owned town. All the houses here in Baghdad are company-owned. We pay a little bit of rent, and we were able to get a house. So when I started here, the rent was $275 a month for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with a 2-car carport. And with stuff being more expensive and whatnot, the rent's gone up $200 in the 18 years I've been employed here. So I'm okay with that. I'm
That's
paying
a pretty good deal.
$475 a month. Yeah, paying $475 a month for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house is unheard of these days. So I've been a good employee, and I've worked my butt off here, and I just love the town and love the people. It's kind of a family atmosphere here in Baghdad, and we help each other out, and we it's like a family, so everyone knows your business. So
right,
it's it's one of those things. It's okay though. It's took a little bit of getting used to when I first got here, because I was like right out of Southern California, barely came to Arizona. I had 6 months back in Arizona, and I was going a little stir crazy for a little bit, but I quickly found some hobbies that I was interested in.
And what were those?
So working in the power sports industry, I had motorcycles and whatnot. So I really liked riding motorcycles, and I got hired in 2006 here, and then I saw a flyer at the post office, and it was for a We Rock competition. It was called Put Up or Shut Up, and it was in 2007 at Thompson's Ranch in Congress, Arizona. And I'm like, you know what? We should go check this out. Let's see what it's all about. Because, I had only known about, going fast stuff and motorcycles and whatnot. I never really, I heard of Tracy Jordan because my buddy Chris, he's been a big Jeep guy forever. And his dad had a poster of Tracy Jordan when he was sponsored by BFG, all flexed out on the rocks. So I knew what it kind of was, but never been to a competition in my life. So we went to Put Up or Shut Up in Congress in 2007. And that year it had just been downpouring rain. And I saw all the competitors out there, and I stood out in the rain all day long, and I could not take my eyes off of what these vehicles were doing. And it like just turned my mind upside down and made me really start computing in my mind, how am I going to get into this, and and how am I going to tell the wife that I need to get into this. So at that time we had just had our second son, Cameron, and he was, I want to say, barely a month old when we went to that competition. And my wife was completely thrilled that she got to sit in the car and with the babies, and while I was out in the rain watching this craziness go on.
Completely thrilled.
Yeah.
He says, right.
Yeah.
And so that started you down the rabbit hole.
Yep.
And so what was your first move after that to transition to going slow?
So I still had my motorcycles and stuff, and I would go out on rides and ride with buddies and whatnot, but I'm not the guy to kind of go slow and kind of take it easy. I was always like, full throttle or nothing. And if I saw a jump, it didn't matter how big it was, I was going to hit that thing. And so I had crashed my motorcycle. I had broken my clavicle, shattered my shoulder, and sent bone fragments into my rotator cuff. So that was pretty much the end of my motorcycle career. But yeah, after I saw that first Put Up or Shut Up in Congress, I had been looking at Craigslist at the time, and on the classified ads in the newspaper and whatnot, and trying to find some vehicle that was 4-wheel drive that I could do work on. And my uncle actually had a 1969 Jeep Wagoneer in his side yard, and it was driven from Mexico City, Mexico, up to Prescott, Arizona, and parked. And this thing had no floorboards in it because it was rusted out, and everything was rusted completely out in it. And I'm just like, I know exactly what to do with this thing. And so I chopped the body completely off of it except the firewall, and I was going to make my first rock crawler with it. It had Dana 44s, and it had a T18 transfer case in it, and I was going to make something out of it. And excuse me. I quickly found out how expensive off-road parts were. And raising 2 kids, I had 2 newborns. Pretty much, Gavin was a year and a half, and Cameron was a newborn, and so that dream quickly kind of went to the wayside. And I ended up taking that Jeep Wagoneer, and I sold the axles out of it, the Dana 44s out of it. I sold the transmission, engine, transfer case, and I had chopped up the frame because I didn't have a title for it. I chopped up the frame in 3-foot sections because the scrapyard wouldn't take it whole. And I ended up making quite a bit of money off just selling parts. So my next step was I was going to buy something else and see if I could make that, off-roader, a rock crawler or whatnot. And I ended up buying a 83 Toyota pickup truck that had a blown motor from my neighbor and put a motor in it, and then quickly found out that I could sell it for more. So I sold that, and over the course of a few years, I had bought and sold so many vehicles to try to make this what I like to call the buggy fund. Try to make this buggy fund or realization in my life, right?
Right.
And so, I ended up buying and selling and trading, this and that, and I had enough money, and I actually ended up buying a motorcycle instead. And then I saw on Craigslist some guy he had a 1984 Toyota 4Runner that was lifted, had bigger tires on it and stuff, and it was bobbed in the bed, and it didn't have a cage in it, but it had the stock roll bar, and it looked a little beat up and stuff. And I'm like, look at this rock crawler, this is amazing. And so I ended up trading my motorcycle for that 4Runner, and that was the kickoff of my first competitive rock crawler.
So was Amanda glad that you got off the motorcycle and then that you brought home a 4Runner?
Yep. Because I had heard from one of my buddies out here that, in Baghdad, we have kind of like this close-knit racing kind of competing group. I have Levi Rockhill. He races Class 1 open desert cars. He raced in Best in the Desert, and now they race in Snore. And then Matthew Macheski, he has raced in dirt rides before here in Baghdad when we had one. And he actually races Class 1 open desert cars. And so, we kind of got this close-knit, kind of buddy group that likes to hang out and do off-road stuff. So, but yeah, they always told me with age comes a cage.
Yep.
And I'm like, you know what? That kind of makes sense now that my shoulders, pinned together and stuff like that. So, yeah, she was super stoked that I got rid of the motorcycles. That's for sure.
And so that's the vehicle that you started on down the right path, I guess.
Yeah, yep, the right path for sure. And you got that one. So the 84 Toyota 4Runner, I had, we get quarterly bonuses here at the mine, and the quarterly bonuses, my wife and I made a deal, and all my hourly wages and my salary and stuff like that would be a household fund, and then whatever I got for bonuses would be my buggy fund or my off-road fund.
Okay.
And so that's been working out for us for a long time. And I started modifying, the 4Runner and looking at Pirate 4x4, going on the Toyota Bible and kind of reading every single thing that everyone was doing. And, it really gave me a lot of drive to, go after that kind of stuff. Plus, I've always liked the, Toyotas. They're a great vehicle, and you can't kill them. And if you do, you're pretty much running them out of oil or whatnot,
Right.
Um, so yeah, I started modifying the 4Runner, and then after I got a cage in it, we I met a guy here at the mine that was avid off-roader, and we called him MacGyver, and he had a 5x10 plasma table in his garage, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And so I'm just like, hey man, do you want to help me build a cage and modify this Toyota? So I apprenticed under him, because I didn't know how to weld. I'm an electrician,
Right.
So I'm just like, so he took me through and he taught me how to weld. He taught me how to MIG weld. He taught me how to effectively arc weld, and he taught me how to TIG weld. And in the year that we were modifying the Toyota, because I had saved up a bunch of money from buying and selling stuff, and we ended up bending the cage for the Toyota, and doing the normal, rear up fronts and in the rear springs up front on the Toyota, and then 63-inch Chevys in the rear. And he had a plasma table, and I'm just like, dude, I got the best idea. And he's like, what's that? And I'm just like, I want shackles on the back that look like brass knuckles. So we ended up cutting a set out, and put them on the 4Runner. And man, those shackles have been on Race Desert. They've been on all sorts of Instagram pages and stuff, and everyone's like, hey, hey, look at this 909 bro guy, and like I'm just like, I'm like, okay, I kind of knew that I was going to get my balls busted over that one, but it is what it is.
You owned it, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. Plus, it's a good recovery point, And we cut them out of 3/8 plate, and man, those things are still around today.
Did you ever make any for anybody else?
No.
Nope. Okay.
Those are the only set I think ever.
So then you were at not the first, but at that Put Up or Shut Up at Thompson's.
Mm-hmm.
You continued coming to our events that we did down there?
Yep, I came every single year after 2007. And then when We Rock moved across the street to
Pingatories.
Yeah, whatever the guy's name was.
Yeah.
Was out those.
What a joke that guy is. Anyway.
Yeah, and then we ended up being for Ultra 4 Nationals. I got involved in going and spectating at King of the Hammers. I started going in 2009, and man, that race just put me, like my mind started bending again. I'm just like, oh my gosh, these guys are hauling ass through the rocks. This is awesome, and that was in 2009, 2010. That was probably the most chaotic race that I've ever seen. Well, number one, it was sketchy because all the spectators were like right there in Sledgehammer Canyon.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and I was the guy like right there taking photos and stuff like that, and I'm just like, this is so awesome. And so yeah, I love the Hammers. It's getting a little crazy nowadays, but it is what it is. We've been going for years and years, and I love Johnson Valley. It's amazing. So
I love Johnson Valley. I can't say that if I ever go back to that race, it'll be too soon.
Yeah.
I love the racers. I love the race itself, but there's just too many aspects of it that have gotten just totally out of control that I just can't handle. Maybe it's because I'm old and I'm the guy that, if I had a lawn, I'd be yelling at people to stay off of it. Shelley says
yeah.
I'm the wake police when we're on our boat. I sit there and yell at people as they go by in their fishing boats that are, it's always the guys with the little fishing boats that leave the biggest wakes.
Oh yeah.
The 80-footers come in and they don't leave a wake at all, and they can go a lot faster through the no wake zone without leaving a wake. But the little
absolutely.
bay boats, oh my God, they leave a huge wake.
Yep. Coming from a jet boat owner, flat bottom jet boat at the Colorado River, we go all the time, and yeah, when you see the big boats coming, you're like, oh, where's the beach? I need to get on the beach, because it gets a little choppy, that's for sure.
Yep, absolutely. So then we rock, of course. We couldn't do Thompson's after the matriarch of the family passed away. So you helped us move into, after Pingatori's. You suggested that we come up to Bagdad, or that might be a possibility, and you made all that work, and we really appreciate that.
So I saw on Facebook that that you were reaching out to see if anyone had any possible comp sites available, and being a lover of the sport, I ended up in 2014. I did my first dirt race and won third place. Because there was only 3 people in my class.
Oh, you're not supposed to say that.
Won third place,
That's
so
right. Nobody knows until you tell them.
We really liked doing that. Me and my best friend Chris, we liked doing that, and in 15 we ended up wheeling in Wee Rock competition, and beat a couple people out for third place, and I'm just like, what, this is a lot better than going fast, that's for sure. So that kind of turned me into the rock crawler guy. And, when I saw you guys reaching out for, a possible event site and whatnot, I was in a supervisor training at the time, and we had just got a new general manager. And after the supervisor training, I hemmed up the general manager, and I'm like, hey, man, have you ever seen a rock crawl competition? And he's like, no, what's that? And I explained it to him, and I'm just like, I've been looking at this spot here in Baghdad, and I was wondering if we might want to have a rock crawl competition here. And he quickly said, hey, show me what that looks like. So I took him out to the spot, which is, the rock crawl spot here in Baghdad. And it was nothing but mesquite, cat's claw, cactus, and shrub oak, and some trees. And but I saw these rock formations that were just amazing. And I took him out there, and I'm like, I want to clear all this land right here, and I want to use these rocks as a competition area. So, he's like, okay, well, make it happen. I can just tell you that you're not getting any help from the company on this. We will let you guys use the land, but it's all got to be, I's dotted, T's crossed, the whole 9 yards. So that's when I reached out to you guys, Rich and Shelley, and I'm just like, hey, come check this out, and you were able to come down and kind of look and see my vision.
The potential, yep.
The potential, and you're like, this is awesome. So that year, this was 2017 going into 18. That year I had, pretty much begged a bunch of contractors. I begged my uncle to come down and help me clear land. He had a backhoe up in Prescott. He has a backhoe business, and so he came down with his backhoe, and then another contractor that works here, he had a loader, and so we spent, a good 3 months just clearing land, and it was every single day after work, every single weekend we'd spend out there, and it was cutting brush and pulling cactus, and man, I lived with cactus in myself for like 4 months, but I had the vision and I had the drive, and I wanted it to happen, not only because we lost Thompson's Ranch, but I also wanted, something for the town, because we don't have a lot of events here in town.
Right.
And people get really bored, and, they, we, hang out and party, but, like having something cool in town to take the kids and the family to and whatnot, was a big driver for me as well. So, we made it happen that year. We were able to clear off a little sliver of dirt so we could have spectators there. And, there wasn't any camping available at that time. So we ended up camping behind the Copper Country Bar and Grill. And that first year was amazing. We had a ton of people come out, and that competition I thought went off really good. And
didn't Justin, he was the general manager, didn't he come out and see that event? Or was it the next year?
So Justin Cross, he was the general manager at the time in Baghdad, and he was going down to Tucson to visit some family and stuff, and he got a call from one of the employees here in Baghdad and said, "Hey, if you guys see something on ESPN that's, the Baghdad, Arizona rock crawls or whatnot," he's like, that's probably going to happen. And Justin's like, "What in the heck?" So he quickly turned around and came out to We Rock in Baghdad, and he was completely blown away. He had never seen anything like that before, and he was on our side from right then. He was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." So
he was really happy with the way we ran the event too.
Absolutely.
It was, we did all the things right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That
was awesome.
So we did the 18 event here, we did the 19 event here, and every single year just we kept on clearing brush, clearing more land, clearing more comp spots, clearing, what I saw in the rocks as potential courses, and I'm like, "Hey guys, I have a crew of people that have been helping me out ever since the first one." And I'm like, "Hey guys, this year we're going to go after this section of rocks." And so we'd go out there and hang out, and we'd clear a bunch of land and have fires and burn off the stuff that we'd cut. And we got really good feedback and support from our fire department here. And they're just like, "Yeah, absolutely. Just make sure, the piles are 5 by 5. And so we're just like,
"Yeah,
okay."
I remember that.
Fine.
We didn't know if they were 5 foot or 5 yards.
Yeah, exactly. Or 5 meters, So, we were just like, "Okay, 5 by 5, huh?" And so we'd pile a bunch of brush and stuff. And I'm like, "Yep, looks like 5 by 5 to me." And we'd light it on fire. And but they were always super cool. And made really good friends with the fire chief. And yeah, we've gotten nothing but great support from them. So, the whole town of Baghdad's kind of adopted We Rock as, a thing to do. and everyone in town has nothing but great things to say about the event, and about how it's run, and about the wild stuff that happens on the rocks. And we're a extremely safety sensitive culture here in Baghdad.
Oh yeah, you guys,
And
all of your trucks, you guys got flags on them, and you got to get out and block your tires and all the stuff that all your trucks have backup alarms, and yeah, you guys
oh
are
yeah.
way safety conscious.
Yep. So I wanted to, kind of bring that to We Rock as well. And at the event site, it's such a good site because, the spectator areas is kind of like stadium seating almost. And you can see all 8 courses at once going off. So,
Yep.
It makes for a great spectating area, and it makes for really good wheeling, and having the support of the company and the support of the town, is always a good thing, because I don't have to beg every year to have another event,
Right.
And then we had the competition in 2020. That one was a really big one. And we had a great time. And then
COVID
the
hit.
world kind of went to hell with COVID and stuff. And we weren't able to have the event for a couple of years. I think the first event back was in 22 or
Yeah, I think we
23.
skipped only 21. I think we were able to do it in 22.
Yep. So the first year back, we had a bunch of rework to do on the rocks, because
Shit always grows back. My God.
oh yeah, the cat's claw. We have these trees out here, bushes out here we call them cat's claw, because they look like they have little cat's claws on them, or we call them 2-step, because if you get caught up in one, you can't take more than 2 steps without ripping yourself open.
Correct.
But yeah, so did a bunch of land clearing and stuff, and then we ended up having the comp again, and everyone was super stoked about it. And it's I don't foresee it going anywhere, as long as we keep the incidents down. We Rock is an inherently dangerous sport. I mean, any motorsports event is, but that's why we maintain that the banner line all the way up the comp course to keep the spectators and the vehicles, separated. And potential rocks, falling off course and stuff like that won't impact the spectators. So, it's gonna be a great one this year, and I can't wait.
Yeah, the parking area and the spectator area is just phenomenal. What you guys have done this year,
Yep.
And it's expanded, got a lot more room now, and you guys have opened up some new rocks. You opened up new rocks last year, and then cleared deeper in and stuff. So it's looking really great. I'm excited about it. Every year we keep growing out there, and you guys keep providing more room. And the mine, they don't mind us anymore. We send our paperwork in, and it's pretty much a slam dunk on the on the permit from them, and as long as the insurance and everything is there, and the county, as long as the food vendors have their permits, everything's copacetic. Works out.
Yep. Like, one of the things that I believe in, and that the mind believes in, is continuous improvement, right? So if I could bring a little bit of that continuous improvement out to the comp spot, that's where we're going, right? So it's just going to get bigger. I have a section of rocks that I've been looking at for next year. that I'd like to walk you and Jake Good down on, and see if that's something that you guys want to do. I almost opened it up this year, but with going to the Hammers this year and working on my vehicles and working on friends' vehicles to try to get them ready for comp, it just wasn't in the cards. However, next year I think we're going to open up to some wild new rocks, and it's going to be amazing.
That'd be great. I'm sure Jake and Caleb would love that. I'm not doing too much walking on the rocks anymore these days because of my knees. Just can't deal with it. But whatever you guys want to do is fine with me. So
right on. Well, we'll make it happen.
Perfect. Okay. So then, so what's in the future for Aaron and the family? You're going to be coming up here shortly, probably within the next 6 months. You're going to be like a 2-bedroom house with just you and Amanda, maybe.
Yeah. So we're going to be empty nesters at the graduation year. In May, my youngest graduates, and he is going to be going to NAU up in Flagstaff. He got a full ride scholarship to NAU, and he's going to study mechanical engineering, and he's going to be designing my next 4-link.
Nice.
So for myself and Amanda, we spent our 20s and 30s and into our 40s raising kids, so it's time for us to kind of go do our thing.
Nice.
I'm gonna still be working on. I ended up, when COVID happened, I ended up self-distancing myself in the garage, and I built a custom buggy, full tube chassis from ground up, and I couldn't have done it without Jeremy Hammer from Flying High and Louis Gomez from Prescott Tire Pros. Man, those guys supported me all the way through this, and not to mention my wife was very involved in, she does procurement for parts for the mine, so she was very involved in the parts buying and making sure I was on budget and getting everything on time and stuff like that. So the biggest thing about building a buggy from the ground up is parts on the ground, and you got to foresee what the next step is and make sure that you have the parts and you're not waiting. Because it'll take you 10 years to build a buggy if you're waiting for parts,
Right.
So, that was a big learning curve for me, and but the future, I'm gonna modify the buggy a little bit, and I've been, we have a race team called A Little Off Racing because we're all just a little off, and we keep on expanding our teammates, and we like to involve people in all facets of the off-road industry to our team, and and we got teammates in Southern California and Utah and in Arizona, and I just want to continue this a little off racing into a race team and do multiple races. I got a guy that's here now, and he's building an Ultra 4 car.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it's one of those things. You kind of put a bug in people's ear and spend their money for them, and and hey, you could do this, and hey, you could do that, and it's that continuous improvement that we're looking forward to. And I got guys that race rally cars and that are part of the Little Off Racing. So we're just going to expand the race team to kind of include all different parts of off-road, and we'll see what the future brings. I would love to be in a comp moon buggy one day. We'll see. We'll see. So
right.
I just love being around people with the same interests that I do, and and involving new people into what I love as a sport. So.
Well, I can tell you that as far as I'm concerned, and I think Jake is in agreement, that Baghdad will always be on the schedule as long as you guys will have us.
Heck yeah. And I'll keep clearing land as long as you guys come back.
Perfect. So, Aaron, I want to say thank you so much, not only for doing the podcast today, and we're coming up this weekend. This will air this Thursday morning, so guys can listen to it on the drive out. But I want to say thank you for everything that you've done over the years to accommodate We Rock, not only in Baghdad, but you guys coming down and helping clear brush at Thompson's, and what you've done, out at Pingatories and everything else that you've done for us. It's without that kind of support, none of this stuff can happen. You can't put on a race series with just two people. That's for sure. Even though we try.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, and I'll still support you guys no matter what. And if there's a new comp site that you guys want to check out, give me a call, and I'll come with my crew, and we'll do a little bushwhacking.
There you go. Well, I don't see us going anywhere else. I think Baghdad's our home, so we'll like I said, we'll stay as long as the mine will have us.
Well, awesome.
So thank you so much. You go enjoy the evening with your family, and we'll see you. I'll be back up there on Friday, and Shelly and I will be up there with bells and whistles, and we'll be ready to rock and roll.
Absolutely. We will see you here.
All right. You take care. And again, thank you.
You too. Thanks.
Right. Bye.
Bye.
Well, that's another episode of Conversations with Big Rich. I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you could do us a favor and leave us a review on any podcast service that you happen to be listening on, or send us an email or a text message or a Facebook message, and let me know any ideas that you have, or if there's anybody that you have that you think would be a great guest, please forward the contact information to me so that we can try to get them on. And always remember, live life to the fullest. Enjoying life is a must. Follow your dreams and live life with all the gusto you can. Thank you.